Hello, 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 and welcome everyone. Welcome, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to some of our friends and colleagues who are joining us from all over the world. Thank you for joining us. This is our third session of the day, and I'm amazed as I'm watching the chat where a lot of our friends from Africa are telling us good morning because it's already obviously the change of day where they're joining us. And it's wonderful to have you all with us. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for joining us. And we're seeing a few more people coming in slowly as the numbers keep going up. So welcome to GWLN. This is our third session, and we call it a session, but in essence, it's a wonderful way to have a closing conversation with a couple of amazing leaders and to focus on talking about women. You've got the power, and that's what we're going to have. We're going to have a nice conversation with these women, and they're going to share with us their insight, their tips and their tricks, and all of the good advice we'd like to hear, and to close off on just a wonderful note. And in addition to the conversation, we want to make note of a couple of things during this session and thank a couple of our amazing people that have made today and continue to help us do our work and have made all of today possible, and all the things through GWLN. And we'll begin by, of course, thanking our tremendous sponsors, Co-op Financial Services, CUNA Mutual Group, and PSCU. We're here doing what we do with the tremendous support that these organizations and many other organizations across the country and across the globe through their support to GWLN, as well as individuals that do support GWLN. So thank you to all of our tremendous sponsors. And we're gonna top it off with CUNA Mutual Group's challenge. And with that, I'd like us to spend a few seconds and talking about CUNA Mutual Group and the challenge of the 1 million that they've brought forth through the foundation. And we will be able to share a short video so you can see exactly what's been going on.
Over the past 18 months, the COVID-19 pandemic has clearly demonstrated credit unions' cooperative spirit on a local, national, and global scale. Pitching in to donate goods, volunteer hours, and financial services to staff and member, each credit union has done their part to do what we call global good. As we entered year 2 of the pandemic, our longest-standing global champion, CUNA Mutual Group, saw from afar how credit unions were doing to support their local communities and wanted to nudge them a little bit more to reach across time zones to support their peers worldwide. Enter the 2021 CUNA Mutual Group Challenge, a 4-month campaign to increase awareness and support for overcoming the challenges credit unions face globally. The challenge supports the mission of the World Council to champion international advocacy, advance credit union development projects, and offer a diverse educational menu of hybrid experiential learning. Every dollar donated to the Worldwide Foundation's Bridge the Gap campaign has CUNA Mutual Group matching dollar for dollar to support the World Council mission. The Foundation's emphasis on bridging credit union gaps is critical in its purpose of transforming credit unions and member lives. A digital gap, a safety gap, gender gap, and leadership gap are serious challenges that the Worldwide Foundation's 4 initiatives are addressing through its annual work. During the 4-month campaign, we have both reached out to our donors and have reached out to by our credit union advocates who want to help and do their part. Countless stories have been shared and purposes conveyed by supporters as to their why behind the passion for growing credit unions around the globe. 3 stories in particular stand out. Mike Lord, CEO of State Employees Credit Union located in Raleigh, North Carolina, was the first of our supporters to step forward and double their annual contribution to help reach the challenge's goal. In speaking to Mike during his confirmation of their gift, he continually spoke of his credit union living the cooperative principles, not only within North Carolina, but supporting credit union growth across the U.S. and internationally. SECU's past support includes a generous gift to grow the impact of the Project Stormbreak Fund, an effort to proactively aid in international credit union disaster relief. Marshall Boutwell, CEO of Peach State Federal Credit Union, representing members in Georgia and South Carolina, wanted to demonstrate his credit union's commitment to World Council's mission with a $60,000 challenge contribution in conjunction with their own credit union's 60th anniversary. And for over a decade, Peach State has fostered credit union partnerships with credit unions in the UK and Poland to both learn and support the ongoing growth of the movement worldwide. And finally, a credit union love story. Howard and Yolanda Homan generously contributed $5,000 in honor of their 53rd wedding anniversary. They both met while Yolanda was working for CUNA's World Extension Department before World Council was formed, in assisting the Ecuadorian Credit Union Federation. Howard was a Peace Corps volunteer assigned to the project, and their work supported organizing new credit unions along with providing training for staff. They were married in Quito, Ecuador, with Howard going on to serve in a variety of leadership roles within the U.S. credit union system. These three stories are inspiring examples of doing global good, but more importantly, speaks to their why of why supporting the expanding World Council and Worldwide Foundation work is so critical to grow credit unions who exist to provide financial inclusion to the underserved and unbanked. Your contribution makes a difference no matter the size. Challenge donations will help grow our advocacy efforts, expand our project development portfolio, evolve our educational menu, and invite you on a tangible global credit union journey that adds value to your personal development and culture of the organization you represent. Join Mike, Marshall, Howard, and Yolanda, and our countless other challenge donors in helping us get across the finish line before the end of the conference. Every donor, every gift matters. Thank you for helping us to do global good across the world using credit unions. Make your gift now by visiting doglobalgood.org.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack, for sharing the video with the team. Thank you all for joining us. For those who've come in a little late, I will now take a second to introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Lena Giacomopoulos, and I'm Program Director for the Global Women's Leadership Network here at the World Council of Credit Unions and the Worldwide Foundation. And we're very happy to have you join us. And we just spent a few moments looking at a video from CUNA Mutual Group, sharing with us what is happening with the CUNA Mutual Group Challenge. And we thanked our sponsors and we thanked our industry supporters. And we need to constantly be thanking them for all the tremendous work they're doing to help us. And we want to thank their leadership teams and their boards and all the staff that we have the pleasure of working with across the board and across the country. Now, before we get into our friends here who are waiting to share their insight to these amazing women who've got the power, we want to take a couple more moments to extend another very large thank you. Given the nature of our virtual WCUC this year, and because some of you were with us earlier this year when we did have a passing of the baton from our founding chair to our current chair, but some were not. And we said we would do a little, just a thank you celebration of sorts to share and say a very, very large thank you to our founding chair, Sue Mitchell. And for those of you who don't know who Sue is, she's the lovely lady on the screen that you see across from me. And we just wanted to say thank you to our founding chair, Sue. You know, we work together, we've laughed together, we've argued together, and I'm very happy that you're here joining us today in all of our sessions and being very active. And we're all here doing the work that we do together for GWLN and the network globally. And it's wonderful to see all of these women from across the globe and sharing where they're coming to us from and sending greetings. So we wanted to just say a thank you. It's very hard to find a collection of photos that represent very quickly a glimpse and get a taste of what's happening. So we chose to go down the path of just sharing how we were in the beginning and what has happened over the last few years. So take it away, Jack.
Thank you.
Asante.
Viblagodarime.
Obrigada, Rede Global de Mulheres Líderes.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat.
Dziękuję.
Asante.
Tatukoza. Zikomo. GWLN.
thank you. I'll say it in my native language too. It was just a very quick way to say hello. And I love the fact that I see Lucy Ito in a lot of those photos, okay? And it's wonderful to see. So thank you from all of us at GWLN. Thank you, Sue.
Well, okay, so you made me cry. And
No.
I've been like focused, but I want to share with all of you that Lena and the team sent me this weekend, and it says, to our founding chair, Susan Mitchell, we say thank you. And it's a woman with the world. And I want you all to know that that's who we are today. We are women that need to inspire the world to continue to not only make progress, but to understand what's happening in the world. Places like Afghanistan, where we know our sisters will be threatened. Places within the United States that need your help. And so I look forward to seeing all of these wonderful pioneers and the new energy and the love that's been demonstrated to each other for literally taking the world and saying we can start at zero and we can have thousands of members and hundreds of sister societies and people coming together. And it's all because of you. And so I'm honored. Thank you very much. I'm blessed. As we say, I looked at all those images of myself and I say how I've changed and literally changed over the years. But I want you to know that I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so honored to be part of this. And I'm so excited about the future of the leadership as represented by today's session. So congratulations to all of you and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue. All right, no more tears now. This is serious, okay? Conversation about dynamic women, more dynamic women, okay?
Got it.
And I'm gonna, thank you, Sue. We're gonna turn it over to our chair, to Teresa Freeborn. And Teresa is going to welcome our tremendous panel here of lovely ladies who are going to share some expertise and give us some advice and just, I think touch upon a lot of things that a lot of people have been thinking about during the course of the day, but we don't want to be just thinking. We're going to be taking more action. So Teresa, the virtual floor is all yours.
Great, thank you, Lena. And but let me just finish those accolades about Sue Mitchell. So, Sue, I always remember, I think it was some quiet corner at a government affairs conference, and we were talking, and I think we dragged Brian Branch in and talked about what could be for a global women's leadership network. But talk is easy. You just jumped in and took it with such gusto. And here we are today, having a conference like this with over 400 women participating in these sessions today with 6 continents involved. It's pretty amazing. So kudos to you. And although you've given me the chair here, you certainly gave me some pretty big shoes to fill, and I will do my best to carry the torch forward as we go on here for the next short while. But I know that I can always count on you for that friendship when I need it, that confidential person to talk to, and that coach and that mentorship. You've given me all of that, and I know you will continue to do that. And I got your number. I'll be definitely in touch. So thank you to you. Appreciate that. The other thing I want to mention before we jump into the program too is just to celebrate our Global Women's Leadership Network friends, international friends. I mean, the fact that we have all of these women together and men. We had a really good show from the men today. Thank you guys for showing up today. It was really important to have you here and in the conversation. It's been a great day. But I think the part about the network is truly the word network, the fact that we have, and you have, this ability to connect worldwide. You have other women that share the same kind of issues you share, that are looking for the same kind of solutions you are. And it's just wonderful that you get to build this network day by day. And here we are again. We all get to plug in one more time here and extend and make some new friends and increase our networks. Very important. And but I guess the most important part of this is we're going to go into a session here. It's not a long one. This would be our networking session. This is where we'd probably have a speaker come in, but we'd all sit around and have a glass of wine, we'd be talking a lot. You know how that works. It's usually the din in that room is quite something. So it is a little quiet here. It's a little eerie to be talking like this, but anyway, looking forward to hearing from our panel. It's not so much as a panel. This is meant to be a conversation. It's just meant to sort of pick the brains of some pretty amazing women that we have among us. So I'm excited to introduce them to you. We've got 3 women that have stepped up here to give you a little insight. Here's in no particular order. I love them all. I love what they represent. I love the energy they bring, but more importantly, the experiences and their perspectives are just so valuable here. So let's start with you, Lucy. Lucy, oh my goodness, you're right. She's in every one of those photos, I swear. She's been at every one of these Global Women Leadership Network events. But Lucy is currently the president and CEO of NASCUS. That's the National Association of State Credit Union Supervisors. And she's been doing that since 2014. I have known her forever, though, it seems, because I've worked very closely with her when she was with the California Credit Union League in California. I'm just blessed to spend a lot of time with her there. And then previous to that, of course, when I first met her she worked for World Council. I know she has a lot of friends, and a lot of people have been following her track for years. But she brings so much. She's such a good friend and well known to so many folks. So we're glad to have her here. Thank you, Lucy, for showing up today. Great to have you here. And we also welcome Marcia Majors. And Marcia is the president and CEO of U.S. Eagle Federal Credit Union, and she's in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Again, no stranger to our industry. Marcia, you make us proud, not just in New Mexico, but throughout the country and worldwide. So it's so good to have you here. You run a credit union with over $1 billion in assets. You are a New Mexico woman of influence and certainly celebrated for that, top CEO. You do us proud for sure. And you're in huge demand, I know, to sit on every board that will ask you, I know, but you've got to say no sometimes. You can only have so many of those board appointments, but you are in much demand in Albuquerque. Thank you for all you do for credit unions and making us show up the way we do. I'm very proud to know you. And then we have Lisa Ginter, who is joining us this afternoon. Now, Lisa is the CEO of Community America Credit Union. And I knew Lisa when she wasn't the CEO of Community America Credit Union. Lisa's been there for 6 years as a CEO, but previous to that, I mean, she spent 33 years in our industry and has well honed the credit union story, but more importantly, has well honed her leadership skills. And she's just a breath of fresh air, and so happy to have her. But I had a chance to work with Lisa pretty closely in the last little while when I was on the CUNA board. And I just burst with pride because I know this woman will take that mantle of chair in a very few short years, and she'll make us proud. And you couldn't ask for someone better to be in that sort of top echelon of our Credit Union National Association. So very good to have you too. So here we have the 3 of you. Oh my God, I have so many questions for you, but I have to sort of pace myself here because we can't take 3 hours here. But you know, the theme today was sort of women, you've got the power. You 3 certainly do, okay? You've got the power. And that's why I think it's so important that the rest of us get to hear, what does that feel like? And how did that happen? And more importantly, you know, what do I have to do to get to a position like you have? I mean, it's not just about title, but it's about being a leader, being able to share what you know and how you approach life and your perspective and your, you know, emotional way that you run your businesses, because I know you all from that perspective. And to me, it's so unique. And I'm just dying to pick your brains a bit. So maybe I'll start with a question around the table. And I'll just start and we'll go through all 3 of you, but start with you, Lucy, and talk about sort of looking back over your career and you know, what comes to mind as an example of this theme, you know, women, you've got the power. Can you think of something that validated or demonstrated the power that women actually have in the workplace that maybe we don't even think we have? Talk a bit about that in your words. What would that mean to you?
So thank you, Teresa, and so fun to be with everyone today. I have 2 memories, very strong ones. There are more, but the 2 that really stood out for me are, first of all, a personal one, and then one that involved others. the first one was, for those of you who are old enough, remember back in 1995, 1996, internet existed, but it was unusual for organizations to have a website. I was at World Council at the time and worked in the area where we were responsible for communications and whatnot. And my team and I put together a proposal, presented it to the powers that be, a proposal for a website. And our proposal was turned down. It was like, this is just a passing trend. We're not going to need a website. And so, yeah, I didn't do a very good job presenting the proposal, but I went back to my team and said, well, we didn't get approval, but I know the next time we propose this, we're going to get approval. So keep working on it. And we then, a few months later, went ahead and built a website. And we're not trying to cause any problems or anything, but we just knew this is going to be important for World Council. So we went ahead and built it. And then in the second proposal, we actually showed the website. It got approved the second time. And so my lesson there is don't ask for permission, but be respectful, be smart, show humility. To give your idea or your project the best possible chance of success. And bigger than just that personal experience was a couple of years later, I was with World Council, and we had helped bring the credit union idea to Uzbekistan. If there was anybody on today's call from Uzbekistan, please give us a shout out. I'd love to connect. But back then we introduced the idea of credit unions to the Business Women's Association. And before we knew it, not only were we doing seminars and whatnot, but we actually, at the end of one of those seminars, started a credit union. The women put in their shares, and the first loan that was made was for $5 for a businesswoman to be able to buy plants, flower plants, grow them, and then be able to sell her flowers. Anyway, that was all fine and good, except that Uzbekistan was had a very centralized government, and it was against the law to do something if that activity wasn't explicitly allowed. Well, the Business Women's Association leaders, they just plowed ahead and then realized, though, they are going to need to get government assistance. So they asked me to come back, and they had been trying to get a presidential decree approved and just could not get the attention of government. So they were very smart, and they said, you know what, we're going to bring in someone from outside the country and have that person meet with the finance ministry and the central bank, and then let's ask for permission that way. So a group of us went to give a status report on what was going on with a few credit unions that had been started. And of course, we were scolded that you women are breaking the law. Credit unions are not permitted in the country, and we said, mea culpa. We know, that's why we're here today, because we started talking about this idea, and next thing we know, we've got these credit unions started. So it was great. We didn't ask for permission, but we needed permission to be able to have credit unions in the country. I really applaud the Business Women Association leaders for realizing they needed to do that and doing it in such a respectful way. The central bank, finance ministry both agreed and then helped get funding to put legislation and regulations together. So don't ask for permission, but be smart about it, be respectful, have humility.
I love that. Yeah. Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness after you, of course, get in somebody's face like that. Good for you. And you remind me, though, is, that when you're trying to venture out there and do something new, and I think back, and it's funny because I'm hoping all women are sort of resonating with these kinds of comments, because it makes us all think about that time in our careers where we did stuff like that. And I know I had the same kind of moment years ago working in British Columbia for our trade association and wanting to do a cooperative advertising program. And I knew I was going to get a no, but it was like the no I already had. I'm going for the yes. I mean, that was kind of my attitude. And it was about doing all the research and getting ready and making sure they couldn't possibly say no at the end of the day. And that's really kind of what you just demonstrated there. So that's really helpful. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Okay, Marcia, tell us a bit about what was it looking back over your career that's kind of, you know, comes to mind as that example? What's happened there?
Well, I really found this to be an interesting question. And when I thought about it, I realized initially I struggled with the notion of my own leadership power. First of all, I had to define what that really was and what it meant to me. In my particular organization, there were limited opportunities at the time. I have the fortunate opportunity to have been with my one organization for 35 years. So in the course of that time, I had to make a decision, and it came down to a conscious decision to own my leadership power. And for me, I took the opportunity to really look at what was happening around me from the standpoint of the counterparts, both male and female, what the opportunities were, and where I had an opportunity to really advocate for myself. I saw that things were happening a lot faster for others in the organization. And rather than just is a word that we said we weren't going to use, but at that time, I was just continuing to work extra hard in the hopes and continue to think about eventually someone's going to notice all of my efforts. And I discovered that is a maybe. And sometimes you have to set out on your own plan and develop your own growth and career strategy. And that's what I decided to do. I designed my own career and growth strategy, but most of that was primarily due to self-advocacy. I'm a firm believer, if you don't believe in yourself, then why should you expect someone else to believe in you? So that self-advocacy really was what pushed me to begin to take those tasks that oftentimes you thought were beneath you sometimes, that you had reached a plateau of sorts or a threshold in which you felt that I'm beyond that, I shouldn't have to do those types of things. But I looked at it through a wider lens and allowed myself to say, this is an opportunity that will lead to another. And at the same time, I began to create those successful alliances, both internally and externally, with my peers. And I learned so much more by listening and learning. Oftentimes I found myself where I was, I already had the answer because I knew that I wanted to position myself to be a leader, but leadership takes on a lot of different characteristics. And there were many that I hadn't really accomplished at that particular time. But by completing the self-advocacy and building those alliances, I got to the point where my CEO became one of my biggest champions. And I took that opportunity that was provided to me and began to incorporate that for others within my organization. And for me, that's what set me apart from many of my peers, because I took a situation that was where I benefited from that and decided to see how I could grow that within the organization and leverage that throughout. And it really has highlighted for those that I mentor today, the opportunity of listening and learning to ask questions and taking those risks, because the risks that you take today can certainly lead to bigger opportunities tomorrow. And I really feel like we as women sometimes are hesitant to do that, but it's not a failure. It's an opportunity. And I think that's where we have a lane for us to really show our differences and what we can do to lead our organizations and to help lead others.
Wow. I think you just gave me about 8 different things there that that sort of demonstrate sort of how you got to where you are. And so many of them resonate with me. I mean, when I think of the first thing, confidence, and, you know, it's sort of that feeling of the imposter syndrome that I mean, they're writing books on this now where women, and I think men do too, they sit back and go, how the heck did I get here? You know, like, do I have the bona fides? You know, I mean, how did I get here? And it's that first sort of realization that, well, yeah, and in fact, you're very good at this and you're competent at this and it'll be okay. But it seems to be sort of an internal thing that goes off. But I love your comment about owning it and, you know, taking the power, the leadership power. you know, it's like saying, you know, how hard can it be? You've seen your role models, as in a male CEO in your case, be the CEO. How hard can that be? You have, again, you have the chops for it. You've had the experience and the years in, but come on, you could do that. I liken this to when I was a teenager and I was taking driver lessons, and I took them on a stick shift. And I remember thinking, I will never learn how to do this. And then I thought about my mother. My mother could use a stick shift. Why can't I? I mean, how hard can this be? But of course, I was that really, you know, nasty teenager at the time, and wasn't respected that my mother was capable of a lot of things. But it just made me think, just do it, right? Take a page from Nike and just try it. So I love that you raised that. And, you know, the whole self-advocacy, brilliant. You know, there is a whole number of women that still believe that the harder I work, the more I'm going to get recognized. And it's not just about that. Yes, that's important. We're all hard workers and very productive and all of that. But you can go through a whole career like that. But unless you find sort of that opportunity to advocate for yourself and show what you can do and demonstrate, and find that sponsor that will help sort of, you know, give you the keys to the kingdom here, let you know how to get in, then all of that combined, the hard work is still important. So I'm glad you raised that as well. So great story, great things to think about. Thank you, Marcia. And Lisa, how about you? I know you said, look, I don't have 30 years as a CEO, but yeah, but you've got very important 6 years in on.
Well, thank you, Teresa. And I could have almost replicated everything Marcia said. It's our careers are so parallel. So a little bit about me is, as Teresa said, I've been in the industry a long time. I have spent the last 26 years of my 33-year career here at Community America, here in Kansas City, Missouri. And it probably was about 2012 that I put that stake in the ground for myself, because I do believe that we are in charge of us. Like, no one's going to advocate for you more than you. So I put that stake in the ground in 2012. I knew my predecessor, is a good friend and a great mentor, was on his way to retirement. And so I put the stake that I wanted to be the first female CEO. We've been in existence 75 years. I wanted to be the first female CEO of Community America. So I had to take matters in my own hands, and I did my homework. You know, I said, okay, I've run operations for 20 years. I reached out to people like Teresa Freeborn. She can remember that call. Saying, okay, so give me some advice, words of advice as a CEO, as a female CEO, what challenges, what does success look like? And then basically, you know, it was about strategic planning. It was about, you know, being involved in the community. It was about, you know, really showing, kind of upping your game with what you do on a regular basis. I took my mentor, my CEO, Dennis Pierce, sat down with him, said, talk to me about a successful, you know, what success looks like as a CEO. And then basically, you know, everything came back to leading the organization, getting people to rally with you. So essentially, kind of took matters in my own hands. We were going to have quite a few retire at the time he was retiring. So I took a look inside the organization, and I started to tap people that I thought had real potential. And then took this and met with them every Friday. We had a leadership meeting, and we talked about the current strategic plan that we had, what's working, what's not working, what would we change. And then as this started to morph into the actual announcement that he's retiring and that I was considered a candidate, then we started in putting our long-term visioning hat on. So in a way, I was helping to groom them, because if I didn't ultimately get the job, I really wanted to position them for success as future executives. So I took a group of both male and female, and just as a caveat, I was the only female on the executive team at the time. So I knew the challenges that I was met with at that time. And so I wanted something different. So I tapped both the men and the women. And then we started charting the course for what Community America was going to look like over the next 5 to 10 years. So ironically, one of the board exercises was, tell us what Community America is going to look like in 10 years. So we as a team started to build the future around, you know, where we saw the credit union, how we were going to chart our strategic course. And so in the end, when I presented this, I didn't feel like I was just presenting it as Lisa. I felt like I was presenting this as a team to the board. And so ultimately, when I was going through the interview process, one of the things I remember that stuck out to me was a question that was posed to me that said, why do you want to be a CEO? And without even flinching or thinking about it, I said, well, I'll tell you 3 reasons why I don't want to be a CEO, and that's for those 3 little initials. But if those 3 little initials allow me the opportunity to make big impact with my members, with our employees, and in this community, that's why I want the job. And so fortunately, you know, I was given that, I was passed the baton, and very proud to say that I felt like we were already, you know, into the process of movement. And, you know, my philosophy has been and continues to be that if you do right by people, great things will come. And if you think about how this industry, it's founded on the guiding principles of people helping people. So staying true to who you are, like I knew I didn't want to be, I knew I couldn't, you know, follow in my predecessor's footsteps, nor did I want to. I wanted to do something that was unique and different and be me and stay true to me. And very proud to say we've seen tremendous growth over the last 6 years. And it's not because we set a growth goal as the target. We set a people goal and how we're going to put people on a path to thrive. And again, you know, people want to rally around people that know you care. And so I think it's worked very well. But what I would say is you have to take matters into your own hands and control your own destiny. And it all starts with putting that flag in the mountain, that stake in the ground that says, this is what I want to do, and making sure that, you know, you take control of that. So like I said, I've reached out to many people and got guidance and support from them. And then I really did feel like I had the power and I could do it. I did have one of those, I don't want to cuss on here, but an oh shit moment. When the baton was handed to me, I was like, can I do this? And without a doubt, I knew I could. So it's been a successful run so far.
That's fantastic. I love your story. I've heard it a couple of times, but it's just such an inspiration. And I love the people helping people. And I think it's coming up in the chat there, that folks can so relate to that, because that's kind of our motto. This is what we're doing credit unioning for, right? And you think about it from a business perspective, you know, be kind always, you know, I mean, it just makes such sense. This is our business. Why wouldn't we act like that? Why wouldn't you lead like that? It's not about being in a position of power and just bossing everyone around, right? It's about working with a group of people. So I love that comes out so strongly in what you have to say. But the one part that really resonated with me, Lisa, is that, you know what? You asked for the help. You asked for the sponsorship. You asked for that guidance because you hadn't played in this, you know, territory before. This was all new. So hats off to you for standing up and going to your boss and saying, I want to do this job. I've thought about it. I put my stake in the ground. I'm ready to go get this. Help me get this. So you're asking for the help. But kudos to Dennis Pierce, who I also knew, your predecessor, because he did what I think if every man and woman here that's listening could go out and find some bright young thing and say, I'm going to help you get where you want to go. What do you want to do? How can I help you? Genuinely help you. And I know Dennis did, because I talked to Dennis, and I, you know, before you called me that time and said, you know, he just wanted to pick my brain a bit. And honestly, I was so proud of him doing that, because I think I don't see enough of that. I don't see enough of that, you know. Find someone that really wants a taste of this and help them get there. So I love that. Love it. It's great. Good to hear that perspective. Thank you. I see in the chat that we're eliciting all sorts of questions.
Do you have a question for me, Lucy?
It was actually, if we were in person with each other at the networking party, I would take this opportunity to tell everybody about Teresa Freeborn, who at one of the very first early global women's leadership network meetings, we were together, and she said, there's a special place in hell for credit union women who don't help other credit union women. And then she said, you know, okay, she kind of took Madeleine Albright's line, but I don't remember Madeline Albright. I remember what Teresa Freeborn said, and you were so right. And we all need to embrace that. So Teresa, thank you for that. So many years ago, it stuck with me. It will always stick.
And I know you have a reputation of doing that, Lucy, too. So, that's the one thing we can keep on doing as well. And even in retirement, you can keep on doing that, right? Helping these young, inspired, excited young women that could take a place here and help lead our industry, which we so desperately need. So now let's just switch gears here, because you know what, I thought this hour would take a long time, but oh my goodness, I just looked at the time. Let's talk about the future. So what is it that you women believe that this industry has to do to help women take their rightful place in the leadership ranks of our industry at all levels? And we have a dearth of women, certainly at the senior level of larger institutions. We have a lot at the smaller level. We certainly have a dearth of women sitting at the board table. Some credit unions can brag on that. I know I can. At Connected Credit Union, we have 50% of our volunteers are women. So that feels really good. But how do we write this? Because it's way off balance. So give me your thoughts about what you think this industry can do. Let's start with that. And Marcia, I'm going to jump in and chat with you first. So what do you think that we should be doing? Give us some advice.
Well, I'd have to say, make room. I think oftentimes some of our structures are antiquated. What I mean by that is we need to consciously create more opportunities for women to showcase what they have to offer, the value that their female leadership perspective really brings to an organization, be it from the board seat to the frontline member-facing positions. We know that female-led organizations tend to be more productive. They have more collaboration. And I think the opportunities are extremely limited. And at the same time, there are many, many barriers that are out there that we as female leaders face that oftentimes our male counterparts do not. I read somewhere recently that women break through a glass ceiling only to get pushed off of this glass cliff. So when we know that there are challenges that we still have to overcome, we have to go into these opportunities knowing that it's not going to be easy, but we have to advocate for one another. You mentioned earlier about, I think it was you, Lucy, that just said, shame on us if we don't bring our sister along with us. Because if we didn't have someone that helped us along our journey, where would we be today? So I think it's about creating more opportunities, allowing women to showcase their contributions, and bringing those along with us as we go through our journeys.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thank you, Marcia. Lisa, jump in. What have you got to add here? I love it.
Yeah, I agree with just what Marcia said. I think continuing to surround yourself with great talent and diversity amongst that leadership group, use our power right now, the power that we're in, whether it's to influence the board, your chairman on the board makeup, whether it's to look at your own leadership group, and surround yourself with talented women. And whether it's, and groom them, whether it's for a position one day for your open seat, or if not there, somewhere else. But it's continuing to really bring a diverse palette across credit unions, and particularly large credit unions. I think that we have an opportunity to make impact. And again, I say this all the time, I am a mother of a daughter and 2 boys, and I want equally for both my sons and my daughter. So I think that it is important that, if we don't have a good mix at our table, I think we're missing opportunities. I think that is a successful ingredient to create a successful outcome. And so look at what you have, make the necessary changes. We talked about it already, lifting people up, serving as a mentor to a lot of people. I know, I think Lucy and Marcia both do this, and myself as well, even within the community, help to mentor other women, but specifically in credit unions. I think we have a tremendous opportunity, and I think we've come a long way, but there's still more opportunity in this space. And I'd like to see that and be part of driving that impact and change.
I suspect you will be. That's great. Lucy.
Well, I love what Lisa just mentioned about her kids and having a daughter, and I think she said 2 sons. One of the greatest things about GWLN, and so this is something that GWLN has been doing and is a great example for other organizations that are trying to advance women. From the get-go, GWLN has involved men. Now, our male colleagues, they have mothers, sisters, wives, daughters, and I think it's great. GWLN's been very good about being open to men being part of the network. I think that's critical. But you know, not to say the obvious, but it does matter. Board composition and senior executive teams, the composition matters. When I would first join the World Council back in 1989, it was all men on the board. And then a few years later, there was one woman. And you know, over time, now we fast forward to today. And I just checked earlier today. So World Council today has a 14-person board with 4 women on it. Recently selected Lisa as their new CEO. I'm sure that the composition of that selection group, the board, really made a difference there. In my own organization right now, as I'm getting ready to retire and a search is taking place, I counted up today, and we've got a regulator board, a credit union council, and combined it's 16 people. Turns out we have 8 and 8, but just if you'd asked me a month ago, we were actually, because of some retirements and departures, we were short on women. And so we really made a conscious effort to make sure that we have sufficient diversity on our leadership board. It really does make a difference. Who's there? Who's at the table making the decisions, making the selections of new talent?
Well, and I guess what you've all sort of pointed out too, and Lucy, I'm glad you did the counting, okay? Because the first thing when people say to me, whoa, what do you have to do? And I think, can we just start counting? Can we just start counting the number of women and the number of men at the table? Then we can start talking about gender parity. Well, that's what it means, okay? So let's do that counting. Let's talk about percentages. And let's shoot for, why can't it be similar to our population? We already know this. We know that our credit union industry, the people that work in our industry, over 70% are women. So why wouldn't you sort of carry that forward and say, well, why can't 70% of our leadership team be women then? We've got that fertile ground, and where are we in terms of that pipeline management? Are we really trying to get more women in those ranks? So, you know, there's all of that notion, which I love. But, you know, once we do the counting, then we got to set those goals, right? And that's up for every credit union to think about. What goal do you want to set? Is it 50-50? That's a wonderful goal. But I've been around long enough to know that, you know, 20 by 20 came and went. And that was supposed to be 20% of boards were supposed to be comprised of women by the year 20 and 2020, and that didn't happen. So, but you know, hope springs eternal. We're still working at this. But I guess what's important now is to start thinking about those strategies. And I'm glad some of you had a chance to mention that too, is, you know, men need to be at the table and they need to help us and they need to get emotional about it. Because it does, I love you bring this up, that you say, look, they have sons and daughters and wives and mothers and granddaughters, and they want every bit for them as they do their grandsons and sons and etc. But you know, we need them to get emotional about it. They need to help with that, and emotion is what moves mountains, and I believe that. So if we can work with them in unity, I think we're going to have a much better chance of reaching these lofty goals, but not giving up, right? Ladies, we're not giving up. We got lots to do here. But anyway, I'm just going to say thank you. And I know, Lena, if I ask Lena, she's going to give me about 8 questions here. So Lena, is there anything that we should cover up before the hour closes?
Well, thank you, ladies. I think there is a lot more, and yeah, we need more time, and I know we don't have it, but I think everyone touched upon a little bit of something, and I put a couple things in the chat that actually came up in the research for the pink paper. And Marcia mentioned, advocating for oneself, right? Because a lot of times we're talking about helping other women, but many times what we've been seeing is a lot of women maybe aren't comfortable or not confident enough to first and foremost advocate for themselves. If you're not going to go in and ask, no one is going to ask for you if you want the raise or if you want the promotion or if you want to take the next step. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be the raise or the promotion. It can be as simple as, I'm interested in working on that project, or I want to get to that position. How do I get there? Ask the questions. We heard that a lot. We heard ask a lot of questions, which I think is very, very important across the board. And everybody touched upon a lot of the things in the paper. So I think the ladies were very well prepped for this session. So thank you for that. But I think the important thing is that we are working together. We do have to look at our boards and our leadership teams. And we have to reach out and talk to other people. And the network is a great, great way to do that. If you're not sure how to start or who you'd like to talk to, or I'd like to learn from her, that's what you can do through GWLN. And yes, I am going to obviously promote the program, but what I am more importantly going to promote is the fact that it is a network. So use all the people on this call, the 200 of them and the 400 earlier and the 400 plus earlier than that. That gives you 1,000 people at your disposal, right? And that's just because you came on a couple calls today. So you can definitely learn from everyone. And it's amazing to see how open everyone is. And it does have to do with the specific industry, because I'm not from the credit union industry. And it's amazing what I've seen since I've joined this area. So that's a very short, long answer to your initial question, Teresa. Sorry about that, but that's all I had to say. I think pretty much we didn't have any other separate questions, but I do want to give the opportunity if anyone would like to pose a question, if they haven't shared it in the chat, either raise their hand or, because we do have a lot of male colleagues on the call, and it's wonderful to see. And thank you for joining and supporting and wearing your ties and your bow ties and being with us. And it's not just about wearing the ties and the bow ties. You're here because we know you believe and you want to make that difference. And so thank you for that. We have to recognize our male colleagues here. But if anyone would like to say something else before I get into the formalities here.
Well, I just want to jump in though and say thank you, Lena. Thank you for all you do, for the leadership you show and demonstrate every day to hold this together. It's a formidable task. And you've got just the right energy and spirit to head us up here. So thank you. I'm so glad that we have the new CEO coming on board. Cannot wait to meet her. This is like this is right up there with Lisa being the first woman of your credit union. This is, the first time we're gonna have a woman at the helm. This is pretty exciting. So I'm delighted about that. And I'm going to give a shameless pitch for Global Women's Leadership Network and for all of the good work that the World Council does, its foundation. How the money is used and spent it's amazing, the kind of thing that we can do on such a shoestring budget, which means we wouldn't have such a shoestring if everybody could pitch in a little bit and do a little bit more. So please go back to your credit unions and talk about counting. Go and see what you're giving and donating to World Council and their foundation. Just check that out, because I bet you have some room there to maybe put a few dollars in. You heard the pitch earlier. CUNA Mutual Group is matching dollar for dollar up to $1 million. That's pretty phenomenal. So this is your chance to take advantage of that. You can get the match there too. So, but the work is tremendous and there's much to do. And I'm just so privileged to be part of all of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa, for the kind words and for all the comments. We do have a question here, and this is going to be a doozy here, so I don't know who's going to want to take this. Okay. what do we say to someone actually who says that focusing on parity means that we're not just focusing on the best person to actually for the job? I don't know if anyone.
I know I want to jump on it, but ladies, what about you?
I was just going to say they're not mutually exclusive. It's
Right.
not like you have to either get parity or you have to have balance. It's or the best qualified person. It's not black and white like that. You can it's just what you consider. And yeah, so I don't see a conflict there.
I think that it's a typical question that comes up, especially when you're out there recruiting for a senior role and you're saying, where are the women? Well, the women are there. They're just not responding in the way men usually do from the ads, they're looking and thinking, I don't have all those credentials yet. Whereas the guys will say, I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to go for that. We're just made a little differently there. It doesn't mean that we don't have the experience. So you can't just say, well, we don't have qualified candidates. You probably do, but you're probably not getting them in the right way. So you might have to change some of your tactics. And that's what I believe. And I believe that, we're graduating more and more women from university in every faculty, more women than men every day. And this has been going on for a decade. So it's not like we don't have the education. And a lot of these women, you've heard from the women on this panel, everybody's been doing these jobs and jobs in the credit union industry for 30 plus years. Okay, we got the chops. What else? So I agree with you, Lucy. It's not mutually exclusive for sure. It's wait a second here. It's about a whole package. And if we're not getting the women at the table, why? Because you can still have it all, right? You can have the best candidate, could be a woman. They exist.
And I always say, just internally, I want a diverse palette of candidates when I'm looking for a senior level position. And if I don't have a diverse palette, go back to the drawing board, bring me some diversity, and then I will select the very best candidate. Because obviously you want the best candidate or they're not going to succeed. So, but if you culturally, your organization knows you need a diverse palette to choose from, then I think that's how it becomes powerful.
I would also add that for women who are trying to advance their careers and be promoted, something that worked for me was I didn't wait to be asked to take on jobs. I would see something that needed to be done and I'd just go do it without being asked. And I did that over and over again. And when it came time for promotions or something, I found out, guess what? I'd already shown without asking that I did X, Y, Z. So then I was sort of a natural candidate. So, don't wait to be asked to do something. If you think it needs to be done, go do it. And as both Lisa and Marcia were saying, gosh, you do have to advocate for yourself. You really need to get comfortable with that. Don't think about it as advancing yourself. You know it's good for your organization. So advocate for yourself because it's good for your organization.
And I'll just add, don't be afraid of a no, because you can always turn that no around. Right. You can learn something from getting that no. So they're valuable.
Okay, so there's the soundbite, Marcia. You already got the no, you're going for the yes.
There you are.
Done. Okay. It was so much fun working with all of you. Again, I really appreciate your time and thank you for your support of Global Women's Leadership Network. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you behind the scenes, everyone, all of the teams, WF and World Council teams that help us do what we do. Thank you again to our sponsors. We hope to see you all during our Y-Cup sessions tomorrow. And we hope to see you on the last day of WCUC Virtual 2021. Thank you, ladies. Only the best. Be well, be healthy, be safe, everyone across the globe. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ay, gracias.
Bye.
Gracias.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, Wendy.
Bye, Ruth.
Hi, good morning.
Bye.
Viva México.
Boa noite, Mirante do Paranapanema. Rio Paraná.
Hasta luego. Saludos desde México.
Hasta luego, que estén bien.
Bye bye. Boa noite.
Boa noite, parabéns.
Congratulations. Excelente.
Congratulations.
Bye, Lucy.